What's up, you all? I wasn't even going to go live tonight. I was watching basketball, but somebody shared a word with me, and he told me that he was searching, not searching, he was asking God for some answers, and God led him to these scriptures. Um, and it was compelling because he's a good friend of mine, but he was talking about how he his car insurance went up. Uh, So he basically said that he said he's not paying Klaus Schwab. He's not paying Klaus Schwab the car insurance. So he's gonna drive his company car, but his regular car, he said they raised it up. And so he's like, I'm not paying Klaus Schwab those absorbent fees for car insurance. He said I got the best, not the best, I got the least amount of coverage, and they went up on him. So he's heated. But anyway, he said it's an act of war. So what's up, you all? What's up? So he said he's praying to God, for some answers. And so he said God led him to these scriptures right here. Oh, he was upset today, man. Okay. um Let me get down here. Okay, so he said Matthew 24, verse 37. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then says, the two shall be in the field, the one shall be taken, the other left. This is where they get the rapture from, or I guess two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken, the other left. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his the Lord, excuse me, who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. And so that's one scripture. I'm gonna talk about that for a second. And so basically, he said God led him to these scriptures. But I'm gonna say that most people get caught up in the calm before the storm. The calm before the storm is when everybody gets relaxed. And so God is telling us to be vigilant, to be ready, to always be on guard, put on the whole armor of God. This is a carry across day. This is an everyday thing because the enemy, again, the enemy's job is to steal, kill, and destroy. That is a never ending job, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Matter of fact, the enemy is going 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. So we must always be on guard, but also we must also be living a righteous life, not just be vigilant towards the enemy, but also be living a righteous life. So we're also to be perfect like our Father is in heaven. We are to be walking like Christ on the earth. And so most people neglect the second part. excuse me, I'm not perfect. A lot of people neglect the second part though. Our goal, like my goal is to be like Christ. So we should be striving to be like Christ. And what that entails is us, putting God first in everything that we do, us walking in love, us displaying the fruits of the Spirit, us having faith, all these things we are required to do. I just heard Michael Todd say today that fasting is not a requirement to go to heaven. And that may be true because, I don't see where it says the sin not to fast. Is it recommended to fast? Yes. Are we instructed to fast? Yes. And so if we want to be in right standing with God, then we probably should fast. The reason why I don't like what he said is because I know when you're dealing with Black people, if you give them an out, they're going to take it. So if you say that fasting isn't a requirement, then Black folks are going to run with that. When I speak to Black people, and this is one of the reasons why I'm disliked by Black folks so much, is because I don't give them any way out. I don't give them any wiggle room. So I'm never going to get in front of Black folks and say that you shouldn't, fasting isn't a requirement. I'm going to just say fast, because I know if you give a Black person an inch, they're going to take a mile. They're going to take 10 miles. They're going to run a marathon. But so in the scriptures that my boy told me, he says, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, to the day that Noah entered into the ark. And so at the most inopportune time is when you're going to have to be prepared. Most people believe they're going to be able to party until the very end. When this stuff happens, I don't know if it's a cyber attack or whatever these folks have planned, when this stuff happens, it's going to be at the most inopportune time. You're not going to know what's coming. You're not going to be prepared. It's a saying that says, stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. Stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. And so always be living in right standing with God so you ain't got to try to get in right standing with God. And this goes for myself too. I'm not exempt from what I'm saying. But we always got to be prepared and ready. And so this really struck me because they're talking about solar flares and eclipses and all this stuff going on. But at the end of the day, we know this stuff is orchestrated because the Bible tells us that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against wickedness in high places. So we know that most of what we see is orchestrated. It is contrived. It is manipulated. And it's not happening organically. Nothing we see is happening organically. Nothing. None of it. Because if it happened organically, the results of it, they couldn't control. They can only control a manipulated situation. That's why they have to manipulate everything so they can control it. If it happened organically, they would have no control over it. And they were marrying, they were eating and drinking, they were marrying and giving in to marriage until Noah shut the door. Now imagine everybody partying, and I know who was there back then, and it was a bunch of ancient nigglets back then, the purest form of decadence you could imagine. I know what they did. They set up the party around where Noah was building. I know how these people do. They set up all the parties around Noah. So if you was to come from a far off place and try to even see the ark, you couldn't see it because the folks have built a party around the ark. I know these people. They so double-minded and decadent. They want to be able to party, but also keep an eye on Noah. They want to be able to marry and have fun, eat and drink, but also keep an eye on Noah. So I imagine these folks was probably just partying all around Noah, having a great time. All you heard was Frankie Beverly and Frankie Hotep and Maiz back then. I don't know. You heard the music playing. They was having a great, wonderful time. and the music was blasting. It was loud, people drunk, chaotic, everything. But somehow, some way, everybody heard that door, that ark shut. That's when DJ stopped playing music. Everybody got silent and looked, and the door, that ark was closed. Now, keep in mind, they done set up shop. They partying, having a good time, thinking they're keeping an eye on Noah. But it's hard to keep an eye on God and you got your eye on the world. It's impossible. It's impossible to do. The moment everybody turned their head because somebody did something stupid, somebody started fighting, they wasn't shooting back then, they were slingshotting. Somebody started slingshotting. Whatever happened, it made everybody turn and look at that, and that's when that door shut. And it's going to be the same way when Christ returned. It's also going to be the same way when they pull these stunts. Nobody was prepared for the Peter pandemic. Nobody was, but even the folks that knew something was coming, even the folks that were conspiracy theorists, nobody was really prepared like they should have been. You know how I know? Because there wasn't enough people saying this is going to occur. And now, hindsight being 2020, we know that these people are capable of shutting down the world. So we know that this next round, this go-to round, they about to cut up. We know this. Okay. Oh, Goddess Navi is telling me about his name is just a pop prime. Yeah. Again, these are the people that are going to be around to distract you. What do you all think is the biggest criticism for my message? Do you think it's really me getting on black people? It's not. The reason why folks are upset with me is because I tell people to go to Christ. They just use the black thing as a smokescreen. Trust me, it's not the black thing. I talk to black folks in person every day about this stuff, and they don't get offended. It ain't the black stuff. It's the fact that I tell black people, you're not special. You need to go to Christ. The go to Christ part is the issue because that means they can't be decadent no more. That's what all this is about. They want to be decadent, and I say you can't do it. That's why they always bring up that's not being a Christian, that's not being God. How you gonna say you? That's all it is. When we cut through all of this, is they want to be decadent. That's all. So, a goddess, I will try to get rid of him before the live on Sunday, because again, the spirit in him is only to come to keep y'all from getting the message, keep y'all from growing, keep y'all from the word. Like that's his whole. Think about it. Think about it. Most of what we talk about, if you go to Cutting Through the Culture, we talk about God, we talk about Christ, we talk about salvation. So a lot of the message is centered around the word of God. So if a person is coming on a show, their main goal is to deter from that. That's they want to stop you from going to that because people don't believe in God. Whatever his name is, just Pop Prime, I Am Mitch, the Marbles, good dude, all them dudes, Gagatron, they don't believe in God. So their goal ultimately is to keep you from the word of God. It's not about this whole black stuff is just a means to do it. They don't really care about that. They care about you getting your salvation. These folks are atheists. They believe in Satan. These people are wicked. And knew not, verse 39, Matthew 24, verse 39, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So imagine the door shuts. Now I imagine, my imaginings, They're partying all around Noah. They're making fun of him. They have signs. Now, think about this now. They got signs calling Noah a sellout. Because you're not with this decadent behavior, you're a sellout, Noah. Noah is a coon. Noah is a Uncle Tom. Noah's all these things because Noah don't want to indulge with us. So you can imagine there was a campaign against Noah. Now think about it now. You know it was a campaign because nobody wanted to get on the boat. You mean to tell me nobody wanted to get on the boat? You mean to tell me nobody wanted to get on the ark? That lets me know that it was an entire movement around people not getting on Noah's boat. It was an entire movement condemning Noah because the goal was to keep people from getting on the ark. You only can do that through propaganda, through slander, through misinformation. Man, it ain't rained out here in 100 years. Man, there ain't no water nowhere around. Like, you can just hear all the stuff. Man, Noah's a drunk. He's crazy. This is how nobody gets on an ark because there's a whole movement designed to keep folks from getting on the ark. And it's the same thing today. There's a whole movement designed to keep us from being prepared. There's an entire movement behind. There's an entire movement. I talk to grown men. I'm talking about grown men who tell me this stuff ain't gonna happen. I'm like, what in the past 4 years? Think about this. March 2020, it is March 2024. What in the past 4 years has made you believe that these people aren't going to do something? I don't like, but again, there's a whole campaign, and the campaign most people are involved in because most people are holding on to 2019. Most people are holding on to what this world used to be. Most people are holding on to what it used to be. It's over. And people can't see that it's over. You can't see it's over. You think the trans agenda is going to go away? You think the LGBTQ agenda is going to go away? You think the propaganda is going to go away? You think Klaus Schwab is going to go away, or Bill Gates, Elon Musk? These folks ain't going away. Each day they get stronger and stronger. You think this climate change agenda is going away? You think communism is going away? None of this stuff is going away. So if it's not going away, then what is it doing? And I talk to so many men that don't believe it. I talk to so many women that I'm like, why? I'm like, how do the women believe it and the men don't believe it? How do the women say, you know what, this is coming, and the men are like, it ain't gonna happen? What's giving the men so much confidence and the women are like, we gotta do something? It don't make sense to me. Over the past 4 years, I've learned one thing. I've learned that in these last days, most of this ain't the women. And when I say ain't the women, I mean on the conscious side of what's going on the initiated side of what's going on, the women are on board. I ain't saying they got all the answers. I'm not saying I'm saying they on board. They know something is wrong. They know something got to be done. They know. Women online every day telling men to be men. But I realized something. The more men I talk to, especially black men, amazing about black men is they already got an excuse before I even present the scenario. Today, one guy told me, and when this stuff happens, God's gonna bring a boat. He gonna get on what? Now, think about this now. Think about this. We live in Georgia. Where the boat gonna pull up at? We live in the metro Atlanta area or Atlanta area. Where is a boat gonna pull up at? The Chattahoochee? But in his mind, he rather create a fantasy than deal with the reality. All these black men I talk to, they all bring up police brutality. And I'm like, what difference do police brutality make if the UN troops and the Chinese troops is on the ground? What does it matter? So it ain't the women. It's not. These men claim to know what's going on, but there's still a block. And that block is because part of you being prepared for what's going on means you got to clean your life up, means you can't be decadent, means you can't be a whoremonger, means you got to work out, means you got to eat right. Part of being prepared is everything being prepared, your mind, body, and your spirit. So what these men are really saying is that I still want to enjoy this world. I'm still in love with life. Matter of fact, one guy told us today, one guy said, y'all need to get out and have some fun. I don't know how anybody can go out to a club or a lounge in 2024. After what we've seen, you know all this is fake. You know at any moment they can put a fake disease out there and shut everything down. None of this stuff is real. And I told this story before, but I remember being on South Beach with a friend of mine. It was like one of the Friday night, Saturday night, or whatever. You know, we got dressed, went out. We was going to this one club. I forgot the name of that club. It's not Cameo. It's a real big popular one down there on South Beach. I forgot the name of it. Anyway, when you walk in, there's a whole bunch of mirrors. But anyway, you know, I got clean. I was clean. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was clean. And I had the fit on. I was like, I got to listen. I'm so clean. We walk into the club and this girl telling me how clean I am. So I'm ready to get, I'm ready. I'm getting warmed up. I'm just getting started, right? Nah, it wasn't Live because Live was too far. Nah, Live usually on Sunday night. This had to be like a Saturday night. But so we get to the club. Now, normally my routine is to go talk to the people at the front, whether it be the doorman, bouncer, whoever. I'm just talking to see, if I can make something shake because I ain't finna wait in line. So I'm talking to the guy. The door opens up and I look and people are leaving. But I look in and literally all you saw was literal smoke and mirrors. Not metaphorically, literally smoke and mirrors. Some more folks came out and my boy was like, nah, man, I can't do it, man. He said, man, it's literally smoke and mirrors. I'm hard-headed. I'm like, I got my fit on. I'm down in South, but I got to get out. We ended up not going in. Now, fast forward to that analogy today. I wanted to get into this club so bad. Now, I've been into the club before, but I wanted to get into this club so bad. The line was down the street. I want to get into the club so bad to be decadent. And the door opens up and really, this is God. This is the calm before the storm. This is Noah building the ark. The door opens up and people are leaving out. Before we even go in, folks are leaving. And it's a literal smoke and mirrors. I try to ignore it, but I saw it. The door opens up again. Some more people come out. Literal smoke and mirrors. I was still going to ignore it. My boy had to say, let's go. Now, that is the same way it is today. What we're seeing now post 2020 is literal smoke and mirrors, all of it. They showed you what they could do when they want to. That means that everybody is operating on borrowed time. Because at any minute, these folks can flip a switch and it's a bunch of zombies running around. They can flip a switch, all the power goes out. They can flip a switch and we in World War III. None of this stuff is real. And I think it's very sobering for us to know that none of this stuff is real, because the problem is that people are still holding on to this stuff being a reality, and it's not. It's all smoke and mirrors. And if I'd have went into that club, I would have been miserable. It'd have been a waste of time. Because would nobody have been in there? Nobody would have been in the club. A lot of men want the easy way out. As my boy says, they want the soft landing. There is no soft landing. There is no easy way out. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It never has been. It never has been. I was just decadent. This path or this road less traveled has never been easy. I just wasn't on it. It wasn't never easy. Everything that God is requiring now, God required 2,000 years ago. God is the same. God's standards have not changed. We've just been the ones to be disobedient and decadent. Let me see if I got some videos. Let me see if I got some videos. What is this right here? Let's see what I got.
Black History Month, you had always some white jerk in class be like, well, when are we going to have White History Month?
Right.
And what ends up happening, we have white history and they immediately outlaw it, because what we actually don't want is White History Month. We do want White Mythology Month, but that's every month in America. So we end up with is outlawing talking about whiteness at all. For most of my life, whiteness was the freedom not to think about race.
Right.
And only in rare instances you would feel, oh, I'm white, I'm different than people around me or whatever. And then almost immediately we'd be able to go back into the not thinking of it. And that's again why I wanted to use the word whiteness rather than racism is that we're so uncomfortable to talk about our own whiteness. And even white people who are progressive can talk about, oh, those Trumpists and stuff are racist. But not us. It's only in down south, and it's only people whose family were here in the Civil War, and it's only, but thinking about the way that we always we become so uncomfortable every time we have to think about it was just on display every day with the backlash to 1619 Project, the backlash to critical race theory, you know.
So this is an example of useless male person. I'm not going to call him a man. Useless. The world is falling apart and he's talking about whiteness. And he doesn't even realize that whiteness is under attack. He doesn't even realize it. He thinks that everything he just said is real. And it's all smoke and mirrors. He honestly thinks that because he notices that he's different than other people, that somehow he's harboring some kind of racist feelings. He actually believes that because somebody black gets on TV and cries and complains, that what they're saying is actually true. This is why it's so important and imperative for a man to have a relationship with God. It is important. Otherwise, how is he going to see that it's smoke and mirrors? How is a man going to know that it's smoke and mirrors if he does not talk to God? How? Everything he just said lets me know he's an idiot. He's a complete bumbling fool. Two types of men, foolish men or prudent men. Does he sound prudent or does he sound foolish? He sounds foolish. But these type of men, these incels, are designed to get real men to kowtow to a liberal agenda, to put their guns down, to put their Bibles down, to put their guns down, to put their leadership position down. That's what these guys are in place for. They're in place to make men submit to a liberal world agenda. And we heard Joe Biden say this. So there's a new world order, there's a great reset, and there's also a liberal world agenda. Because they know when the world is liberal, all chaos will ensue. And men like him believe that if the world is more liberal, it's going to be better, not knowing they're going to cut his head off first. It's disgusting. It's very disgusting. But I imagine he probably has a wife. He probably has children. He probably has friends. He's on somebody's show. People listen to him. And he's spewing utter garbage. Do you think this guy right here would have told you to get on the ark or party? Do you think this guy right here would have said, listen to Noah or come party with us? You know what he would have said. Because listening to Noah would have made them what? Racist. The devil uses the same tactics, the same tricks. Listening to Noah would have made you racist. Listening to Noah makes you a sellout. Listening to Noah makes you misogynist, sexist. Listening to Noah puts you against society. So we know this guy would have said, come with us, don't go with Noah. We don't want to talk about whiteness. What is whiteness? It's made up. Whiteness is made up. No such thing as white and no such thing as black.
I know that I'm white, and I guess I'm part of that collection. But I don't think about being white. I don't.
I really did not know that I had a racial identity.
I don't want to be ashamed of being, and plus I'm a male. It's like every group out there can be pissed off at me because I'm white and a male.
Maybe I am racist. I certainly don't like to think that I am. And I think that's too because the perception, in this society, perception of a racist is a guy in a robe.
Now I understand that it's a system of advantages and disadvantages based on race. So as much as there's the disadvantage piece of it, there's the advantage piece of it, which is what I experience as a white person.
And this kind of thinking and this kind of thought process gets people to consent to socialism and communism. Because socialism and communism are rooted in the guise that somebody's being taken advantage of, somebody's oppressed. So the mere fact that people believe this stuff already, the flip side of that coin is communism. Once you utter out of your mouth, I might be racist, they're gonna write it down, and it's communism. The solution to white people saying they are racist is communism. The solution to black folks saying they are oppressed is communism. They're pumping out two separate narratives, the same people. Okay, you're privileged. Okay, you're oppressed. Same people.
I think we're all implicated in a racist system, and I play my part in it as a white person. So I do have individual responsibility and accountability. I mean, I'm part of the system, and I do things that both perpetuate it, and I try to certainly do things that challenge it.
Being white means that I have the privilege to think that I'm not affected by racism.
Dear white people, you are not privileged. I don't know where you would even get that from. If you were truly privileged, you would be able to wake up in the morning and not have to work. You wouldn't have any bills. You wouldn't have to pay taxes. If you're doing what everybody else is doing in the world or society, you're not privileged. To be privileged means you are exempt from societal norms. You don't have to pay taxes. You don't have to pay bills. You don't have to work. You can live an easy and great life just because you're white. That's a privilege. What you are talking about is, please give us communism. Please give us communism, but wrap it up in socialism. I don't want to feel guilty anymore. You believe these people because they crying and slanging snot about racism? You believe these folks talking like these people lying to y'all? They're not oppressed. I grew up in a single parent household. I am the stereotypical male that they would want to use as a poster child for what's going on. I grew up in the inner city, single parent household, father on drugs, father went to prison, jail, drugs in my community, gangs. I grew up in that environment. I'm the poster child for what they want to use as an example. Not because I'm above it or I'm not a part of that, but because they would hope I would be a story like George Floyd. Because the only way to get folks to buy into this narrative or this message is to show you disenfranchise black people, as if every race doesn't have disenfranchised people. This is Satan. And I'm telling any white person right now listening, you don't have any privilege. If you think you do, you're insane. If you don't believe me, when you're on your job, run a test. Tell the black person on your job to go to HR and say you called them the N-word. And then I want you to go to HR and say they called you the C-word and see what happens. Just run the test, go to HR and say the black person called me the C-word, and then have the black person say they called me the N-word, then have the LGBTQ person say they called me the F-word or the T-word. And I guarantee the outcomes are not going to show you got privilege. Trust me. You're going to be the last one on that totem pole. Guaranteed.
Or that I don't even have a race because I have all these other things like a gender and a sexual orientation, and those are pretty neat. So I don't have a race, but I do, and I'm white.
The Whiteness Studies reading list explores the historical development of white identity. Visit Every Day is Juneteenth on Instagram and click the link in the bio to see the list.
And so this page I stumbled across, Every Day is Juneteenth, literally is 100% propaganda. Literally 100%. And remember the spirits of blackness. Pride, spirit of entitlement, spirit of oppression, spirit of envy and jealousy, spirit of offense. Y'all had some more spirits. I forgot them though. I think I might have wrote them down. Spirit of lying. I had another one. It was some more you all said. But there's a whole page designed to make white folks feel guilty. And white folks don't even know the same people that y'all are placating to, they're going to cut your head off. Literally. The same people that you all are trying to appease and make feel good, they're going to string you up. In the past 4 years, what message have you heard from these radical black people? You ain't heard let's get along. Rodney King got beat up and said, can't we all just get along? You ain't heard that message. You done heard they want y'all eradicated. They want your property. They want your money. The goal of these people is to see America burn because the spirit of Satan is in them. All this placating you all are doing is going to get your heads knocked off. That's all that's going to happen. You saw that one liberal dude in New York trying to calm the young man down, and that young man stabbed him and killed him? Same thing. Their goal isn't to be equal to you. Their goal isn't to have human rights or civil rights. That ain't their goal. Their goal is to watch you suffer. That's their goal. They could care less about equality and all that nonsense. Them black folks didn't want to build nothing. Black folks wanted to sit next to white folks to irritate them. Black folks wanted to sit next to white folks and watch white folks squirm and be irritated and have that. That's what black folks wanted. They didn't want their own bus line. Black folks wanted to sit next to white folks. I'm going to make you acknowledge me. I'm going to make you sit next to me. That's what black people wanted. It was a movement of decadence and pride and envy and jealousy. It was disgusting. Black folks had no plans of building nothing. They had no plans of building upon what they had already built. Their goal was to get back at white people. And not because white folks were doing something to them, but because they believed the white folks felt like they was better. Those white folks didn't feel better than y'all. They just knew being around y'all was going to cost them. That's why when black folks get some money, they get away from y'all. That's why when they want to build the affordable housing by Steph Curry and Aisha Curry, the residents say no. They going down to the city council saying we don't want the affordable housing by our properties, by our neighborhood, because they know white folks ain't never had a problem with y'all skin. They had a problem with your culture. Your culture precedes your skin. And y'all don't understand that. Nobody wants to be around y'all. If you don't believe me, go look at how y'all treat folks in the hood that got something. I know when I was in the hood, they broke in our house. When I was in the hood, they stole our security light. My mom worked hard. We got the automatic garage with the security light, and the smokers, the dope fiends, stole the security light. How you gonna steal a light that's supposed to let us know you there? It's like somebody stealing the alarm. That's black folks. That's black folks. When my dad used to pop up and leave, something was always missing. That's black folks. So the reason why white folks were separate from you all is because you all's culture. Let's continue.
I think instead is that what's going to happen is a fight to destroy the scope of the federal government.
Yeah.
Because either we are going to share a country or we're not. And this really will be the question. The question is not going to be, is there a civil war in our future if the government continues to grow this way? Because if the government continues to grow this way, secession will happen. I mean, that just is the reality. If the government continues to grow to the point where it controls all aspects of life, down to whether you can own a gun, how you can educate your kids, when the states provide no barrier to how you choose to live your life, people will resist that. That's just the reality of how human beings live. The only way to combat that is going to be to tremendously limit and I think in large ways destroy the scope and ability of the federal government to control our lives and to relegate a lot of that power back to the states. And so one of the most encouraging things that I'm seeing is actually something that the left is very upset about, which is this big sort that's happening, right? Companies like ours moving from California to Tennessee. Now, us personally moving out of, I mean, I was born in LA, I grew up in LA, and now we live in Florida. And the company obviously is in this state. And, you know, I think that as that happens more and more, it's going to become clear that if the federal government is not to be used as a tool by the red states against the blue or the blue against the red, it's going to have to be whittled down to size. And that means really not whittling. That really means taking a chainsaw and mowing it all the way down to size. And yeah, if that doesn't happen, then I don't think it's a question of whether there is a secession. I think it's a question of just when that happens.
So now this is Mr. Shapiro, but what he said is very on point. And he's talking about government overreach, government expansion is going to lead to states saying enough's enough. And it's going to happen. And that's where we're headed, because what the government is becoming, or probably already is communist. And so their goal is full control. And so this is on that page. Every day is Juneteenth, because red states seceding makes black people afraid. They become scared because they start thinking about the Civil War and the South versus the North and all this nonsense. Black folks don't understand the problems with government overreach. Black people are none the wiser when we talk about government expansion, federal government, infringing upon amendments. Black folks ain't none the wiser, none of that stuff. All black folks see is red and blue state civil war. And so again, black people are going to be used as pawns on this chessboard. What Ben Shapiro is saying is a reality. There's only so much people are going to be able to take. It's too much. We saw this in the past 4 years. Anybody that's still walking in the clouds is insane. They gave you a taste of what life could be like with these people. If the country is all blue, it's communist, you a slave. The only way we have some kind of parity in America is the fact that we have red states and blue states. We have conservatives, we have, like, that's the only way. Any other scenario, we in slavery. And not just in slavery, that's everybody enslaved, starting with whites. I'm gonna say this again. If the country is blue, they're gonna terrorize white people first. Then they go to everybody else. And on top of that food chain will obviously be the trans and the LGBTQs and the Jews and all that stuff, you know. But again, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So this is what's happening. It's a lot of stuff going on that's very nuanced. You're going to have to get some wisdom and understanding and discernment from a higher source. You're going to have to pray to God for wisdom and understanding. My boy told me he prayed to God for some answers because he just don't, like me, I don't have all the answers. I need to pray tonight for some answers. Lord, let me know what's going on. What should I do? Should I move? Should I sell my, what should I do? Let me know. Let me go to this second verse that he said God led him to. This is what he said. Malachi 3, he said, what was the... what did he read? What scripture was it? Okay. He said, and I will rebuke the devourer for your sake, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, saith the Lord of hosts. And all nations shall call you blessed, for ye shall be a delightsome land, saith the Lord of hosts. Your words have been stout against me, saith the Lord, yet ye say, what? Hold on, that's not it. I'm gonna just read this. I'm gonna just read the whole thing because I can't remember. I know it was Malachi 3. Okay, here we go. Malachi 3, verse 1. Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant whom ye delight in. Behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts. But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire and like a fuller's soap. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. And he shall purify the sons of Levi and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness. Key word or words, offering in righteousness. He's using a metaphor, say they will be refined like gold and silver, but the offering they'll be giving will be of their righteousness. Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto the Lord, as in the days of old, and as in former years. And I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be swift witness. I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers and against the adulterers and against false swearers and against those that oppress the hireling and his wages, the widow, the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, said the Lord of hosts. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Even from the days of your fathers, ye are gone away from my ordinances and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. But ye said, wherein shall we return? So I like this verse, verse 5. And I will come nearer to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers and against the adulterers and against false swearers and against those that oppress, the hirelings in his wages, the widow and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, said the Lord of hosts. And so if you think about it, think about the character of these people, those that are false swearers, the adulterers, the sorcerers, those that oppress in the hiring wages, the widow, the fatherless, those that turn aside the stranger. God's going to bring judgment to all of them, good or bad. But he said God told him to go to those scriptures, but I believe God said this because it's about you being prepared. And it's about you being willing to go to the fire, through the fire, to be forged, to be what's the word they used in that verse? To be purged, to be purified and to be purged, so that you can be a righteous offering to God. You know, many people believe that the 144,000 means 144,000 people left on the earth, and it's not accurate. If you read the scripture, the 144,000 are the first fruits given to God. I mean, these are the people that are pure that will be given to God. They'll be virgins. They're not going to be like you and I. The 144,000 is not the only people going to see God. They'll be the ones gathered around the Messiah, because they'll be the ones most like Christ. They'll be an offering to God. So in other words, you and I may have children that will be part of the 144,000. That makes sense, because we're going to raise them in a way where they're going to be righteous. But let's continue.
I'm gonna need y'all to quit saying that this is the first genocide that people experienced in real time. You need to do some studying about the history of the massacre of Black people and indigenous people if you're going to say silly stuff like that. What Israel is doing is not new. W.E.B. Du Bois, when he was writing against lynching in the 1920s, walked past a butcher shop window in downtown Atlanta that had Negro knuckles for sale, that had been butchered and cut off from a man that had been castrated and hanged from a tree. And there were postcards distributed all.
I'm gonna ask you all a question. If white people were so savage, and I know a book, I read the book. If white people are so savage as to have Negro body parts hanging in a butcher shop, now I want you to think about this now. I want you to think about this. Do you believe that a person is going to be able to walk by human body parts hanging every day and not have any reaction, not have any psychological damage, not have any nightmares? It's propaganda. If white people were this savage, then what made them stop being savage? What made white people act right? Black people still say America's racist. They still say they're being killed by the police. They still say all this stuff. They still say they steal slaves. They say that America hasn't changed. So if America hasn't changed, then what made white people change? What made white people hang a Black person's torso in the butcher shop, or a Black person's penis in the butcher shop, and folks walk by and not be shocked by it? If that's the case, then why do we have horror films? If what they're saying about white folks is so true, then how could you have a whole genre of film dedicated to scaring white people? If what they are saying is true, how could there be a genre of films designed to scare white people? If white folks can walk by in real life and see human body parts hanging and not feel any way about it, how are you going to make a film trying to scare them? It's cap. It's not real. There is no event in history that made white people change. Zero. Which leads me to believe that how white folks are now is how they always been. Because guess what? How y'all Negroes been now, some of y'all done been the same way since the beginning. When it came to y'all in the South, y'all wanted to move north. But we already know the ones that wanted to move north bought a bad culture. The ones that want to move west bought a bad culture. And we saw it live on film, what those folks were saying about the folks from the South, what the folks on the West Coast were saying, and the Midwest were saying about Black folks from the South. So the black folks that was leaving the South, more than likely, already had a bad culture. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Not all. We do know one thing though. When we talk to them folks in LA, those black folks in LA, when they say it's gonna be 1 million black folks coming to LA, they said nah. Black folks said no. So clearly there's a distinction, and there's always been amongst black people. I don't know what words you want to use, but there has been a distinction between the two types of black people: the ones that folks wanted around and the ones that folks didn't. But if y'all are telling me that white people was having picnics while dead men were hanging from trees, there's no way you can have a horror film industry. It's impossible. Do you know the psychological damage that occurs in somebody to watch dead bodies hanging, to watch somebody get lynched, to watch somebody get? Do you know the psychological damage behind it?
All throughout the U.S. South, Christmas cards. People took their children to picnics to watch black people be lynched and hanged and castrated. They took children to these events. All of these things were public. They were out in the open, and they were widely known. And in fact,
this is what's funny, right? I'm going to ask you again. There are people today that are afraid, white people, that are afraid of scary movies, that are afraid of the sight of blood, that are afraid or get grossed out by, like, what they're trying to make you believe is that white people don't have a soul. They're not human. This propaganda is to make you believe white folks aren't human. If this is true, why would they put a mask over a person being electrocuted? If what they're saying is true, why is there such an effort to cover up death? If it was a way of life for white people, children were involved, adults of all ages come on and have a good time at the public lynching. If it was just like that, then why do they go through so much efforts to hide somebody during execution? Why did the coroner got to cover up a dead body? If people so used to all this stuff, why are there such efforts to shield us from death? They want you to believe that white people don't have a soul, because the goal is to allow this type of stuff to happen to them. That's the purpose of it. No one can answer the question, when did white people change? When did white folks go from bringing a family to watch a black man get lynched and castrated to where we are today, where they're afraid to say anything? How do we get to this? How? I'll tell you how. It's cap. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Because I know human nature. Most people are repulsed by death. Most people are afraid of death. Most folks don't want to see death. The majority of people around the world. It's cap.
the fact that they were widely known and brutal was the point. These were forms of exemplary violence. Just because you have a cell phone in your hand and you are seeing these things for the first time, please stop disrespecting and dishonoring the brutality of the white supremacist violence that was experienced by our ancestors before this. Zionism is not new. It is the same white supremacist brutality, genocidal violence, perverse and sheer spectacle of murder and dismemberment that white supremacy has always been.
Now, do you think he's going to be prepared for Klaus Schwab or not? What do you think? Do you think he's going to be prepared for a cyber attack? Do you believe he's going to be prepared for a cyber attack? And you know what's crazy? He believes what he's saying. But when them troops come down the street, none of this is going to matter. They are flooding the country right now, and none of what he's saying is going to matter. Imagine, I was trying to figure out how they're going to do this civil war. And me and my boy was talking today, and I was thinking about this too. I was thinking about the UN troops are going to be people of color. We already know that the patriots are going to fight for the country. There goes your race war. The UN troops versus the patriots. There goes your race war. And folks really can't see it. Because I know black folks ain't gonna bust a grape. The Hispanics ain't gonna fight. And only the immigrant soldiers gonna fight. But we know who's gonna fight. Everybody knows deep down inside who gonna take up the patriots, the rednecks, the Trump supporters, the MAGA, all them. So it's gonna be them versus the UN troops, because the UN troops going, again, people of color. And my boy always says the whole Back to Africa story or narrative or propaganda is for a time like today, because they're going to make you believe that you got to side with these people because they from Africa. It's going to be UN troops calling you brother and sister. And you're going to think that these white people are fighting them because they're racist, not realizing they want to take over the whole country. They're here to do Satan's work. But because y'all only see color, because you only see white, and you only see black, you only see darker brown versus lighter brown, y'all gonna fall for it. Most black folks are gonna fall for it. Base in Your Face says Hispanics are the only ones doing anything. They're kicking out squatters, tried to get Gavin Newsom removed, fought the blacks during the BLM, and just fight them in general. I don't know. I've only seen white people fighting. Maybe Hispanics are in California. I don't know. But I've been seeing white folks mobilizing on the ground. Let's continue. Let's continue.
She says, choose your leaders with wisdom and forethought. To be led by a coward is to be controlled by all that the coward fears. To be led by a fool is to be led by the opportunists who control the fool. To be led by a thief is to offer up your most precious treasures to be stolen. To be led by a liar is to ask to be lied to. To be led by a tyrant is to sell yourself and those you love into slavery. And keep in mind, these were written early in the 90s, but I think they apply forever, actually. This first one, I have a character in the books who is, someone who is taking the country fascist and who manages to get elected president, and who, oddly enough, comes from Texas.
Visit Everyday is Juneteenth on Instagram.
So what's funny is now what she's saying in the beginning, to be led by a coward, a fool, a thief, and a liar, she goes in, could be applied to any person. But when she's writing it, she's talking about white people. And so what you'll find is that all of the negative traits that a human being would have goes all to white people. All the virtuous traits go to people of color, the LGBTQs, all them, you know. But even with her talking, she says, I wrote a book, and she makes you believe that, oddly enough, it was about a fascist rising to power. He's from Texas. That wasn't just by chance. That was deliberate. She wants you to believe that white folks from Texas are racist. And again, this is the devil's work. Her name is Octavia Butler, Dawn. It's Satan. It must be nice to make all this money off of a lie. Black folks can just make stuff up and it just go. Nobody even questions it. Nobody questions it. And no, she's not anti-communist. These folks have no idea what a fascist even is. They don't even know. They don't even know what it is. They just say these terms. She's a stone cold Marxist, I guarantee. Stone cold. Black folks are the only group of people that can literally live an entire life off of a lie, where they never encounter any kind of truth.
Why is this black people's business? We gotta be here for them. These are brothers. These are sisters.
Because if we're not all free, then who free?
You gotta help people that be oppressed everywhere.
The taxes that they're using over there, they already did it here. And when they bombed Move in Philadelphia, when they bombed Tulsa, Oklahoma, when they committed all those race riots.
This is black people's business because this shit is happening not only in Palestine, it's happening in the Caribbean, it's happening in Latin America, it's happening all over the world. The U.S. war machine needs to be...
Imagine these black people talking about oppression and they wearing a mask. Do you understand the type of psychological manipulation black folks are under? Black people out in the streets protesting in 2024 with a mask on, talking about the system, white supremacy and oppression, and literally wearing a mask, literally mRNA floating around in their body. Literal alien octopus babies holding up 8 fists. It's insane. It's insane. And most people watching this video, forget America. The other 7.7 billion people in the world believe this is true. Do y'all realize that the rest of the world sees black folks on these shows and videos and they believe it? So that means that the global message going out to the world is controlled by black people. The global message that is going out to the world is controlled by black people. People listen to black folks in America cry and complain and lie, and they believe them. You just heard what they said. We got to stand with our brothers in Palestine. We got to stand with our brothers in Palestine. The globalization of blackness. Them Palestinians will knock y'all head off. They don't care about y'all. Do y'all understand they are Muslim? And y'all believe in Christ? Do y'all understand that? Do y'all understand it will always be beef between you, the Muslims, and the Jews? It's always going to be beef. It is never not going to be beef. You all are proclaiming Christ to be your Lord and Savior. They're not. You all are following Christ. They're not. There will always be beef. So my question is, what do you think is going to happen if Palestine gets liberated? What do you think is going to happen if Israel is liberated and they running everything? You all are the odd man out because they agree on Christ, that he wasn't God in the flesh. That's what they believe. So Islam and Judaism agree on one major thing, that Christ ain't Lord. But y'all agree with that. So now you got two factions saying you better get down or lay down. Which one? Them Palestinians don't care about y'all at all. I don't care how many videos you see, how many videos they show. Them Palestinians don't care nothing about y'all. And if push comes to shove, they're going to call you the N-word. I guarantee it. If push comes to shove and y'all let that black culture out on them, you're going to see how they really feel about you. Let's start it over.
Why is this black people's business? We gotta be here for them. These are brothers. These are sisters.
Because if we're not all free, then who free?
You gotta help people that are being oppressed everywhere.
The taxes that they're using over there, they already did it here. And when they bombed Move in Philadelphia, when they bombed Tulsa, Oklahoma, when they committed all those race riots.
This is black people's business because this shit is happening not only in Palestine, it's happening in the Caribbean, it's happening in Latin America, it's happening all over the world. The U.S. war machine needs to be stopped.
We must come together on a united front to defeat white supremacy.
This man talking about defeat white supremacy with a mask on. This man just said we're going to defeat white supremacy and he got a mask on. These black folks got masks on talking about white supremacy. They are about to sacrifice those red heifers in Israel. Some more pagan acts about to be done. Black people talking about helping some folks in Palestine, but got a mask on. How you gonna help somebody in Palestine and you got a mask? Your immune system. How you gonna help somebody in Palestine and your immune system can't even protect you over here? Excuse me. How you gonna protect somebody and you can't protect yourself? You got to wear a mask.
Because Israel is a white supremacist state.
We were marching down in Ferguson. They were the main ones showing us how to blockade the cops off, and they were getting the same tear gas as us.
The fact that black people are policed in such violent, militarized ways is the same exact reason why Palestinians are being policed in such violent and militarized way.
We're not free until they're free. They're not free until we're free. We have to fight together. We have to stand together, and that's how we're going to get our freedom.
A Negrostinian, and they being led by a Palestinian. If y'all black folks don't know nothing, they don't know enough. Them Palestinians don't care about y'all. How you feel about the war, Blanche? Israel and Palestine? I don't. I know it's cap. But children are dying, and this is cap. Common sense ought to tell you. They showing you what's going on in Israel and Palestine, but not Ukraine and Russia. What does that tell you? Somebody is behind the scenes saying, show this, don't show this. That means somebody's behind the scenes using manipulation, using propaganda. It's cap, like I've been saying. You got to pick a side, Blanche. I pick God. How about that? I pick Christ. I'm going to pick who they don't pick. I'm going to pick who the Israelis and the Palestinians don't pick. I'm picking Christ. That's who I'm going to pick. Now, unless they want salvation, I ain't got nothing for them. Nothing.
Look at the war on terror. The war on terror affects Arabs, Africans, all of us across the world. It's all connected. We must stand with our brothers and sisters and our siblings across the world.
Let's fucking go.
And you know what's funny about this? This how you know it's not real. There's no consequence to doing it. There's no consequence for you to go out there and say free Palestine. There's no consequence. There's no consequence for you blocking the streets for Black Lives Matter. There's no consequence for you all tearing up. There's no consequence. So how real could it be? If America is so racist, why don't y'all have a consequence? If America is what you all say it is, then why is there never a consequence before you all protesting? It don't make any sense. Because it's cap. Because it's cap.
For some time, I've been around black folk all my life, and I'm telling you that they are devoid of wisdom and understanding. They're good at sex and sports, but after that, they don't have understanding about the world.
Listen, Pastor Manning, I know one day he said, I can't. There was a moment in his life where he was like, I can't. I can't. I got to tell this truth about these black folks. I got to. Yeah, they sound crazy because they are crazy.
Show of hands of everyone at this table who is racist.
When asked who here is racist, we saw that clip, you raise your hand. And you talk about institutionalized racism and how you had to deconstruct yourself too. Yeah. Can you elaborate on that?
So when child of Indian immigrants, growing up, it was very clear to me from the time I was 5 that I'm aspiring to be white. You know, aspiring to be American, but we didn't even see ourselves as the real Americans. Yeah. White people are real Americans. Aspiring to be white, and how do you do that? To get power, you have to step on the people below you. Right. And those people were black people and myself, my own communities. So I'm deconstructing, I'm unlearning, I'm unpacking just like Lisa. So
listen to what she just said. She just said, and think about it, this is communism. In order to be successful, you have to step on someone else. Now, notice what she's really saying is, I'm a horrible scumbag of a person, and I smell like curry. And instead of me saying, I just have poor character and a loud stench of curry, instead of just saying that, I'm going to indirectly blame white people. Because I want to be like white people, it calls me to step on black people and other brown people. This is the dumbest and most idiotic thing I've ever heard in my life. She's just stupid. This is just liberal nonsense. It's demonic, it's satanic, it's just garbage. If you stepped on someone, it's because you wanted to step on them, you imbecile, you moron. Not because you wanted to be white, because you wanted to be a degenerate. It's nothing to do with whiteness. These people's minds are so simple to think that the finished product happened instantly. Imagine a white person working hard their entire life, and then you make it to a position just to have a bunch of people telling you don't deserve it. That's Satan. These people have no idea of what white people do. They have no idea. So to even speak on it is evil and wicked. They don't ask white people, how'd you get here? What'd you do? What was your struggle? What'd you have to give up? They say you got here because you were white. Dismissing everything. It's disgusting. Let's rewind it.
So I want a show of hands of everyone at this table who is racist.
And look at the black, and the black lady want everybody to raise their hand. And listen to me, white people. I'm telling you this right now. Do not admit that you are racist. I don't care if you got 3 slaves in your backyard picking cotton. Do not admit you are racist. Once you admit you're racist, you are never going to be able to live it down. It is a life sentence of condemnation. These folks don't know what racism is. You got black women running to the abortion clinic calling somebody racist. You got black women running to the abortion clinic and having the audacity to call somebody racist. You got black men not only spinning the block, not only shooting the women and children, but then also making music to glorify it, but calling somebody racist. Black people have no idea what racism is. Don't ever fix your mouth to say that you're racist, because I promise you, somebody gonna log it, they're gonna write it down, and you're gonna be in an interrogation room somewhere. You're gonna be strapped to a chair, and they're gonna say, is this you? It's gonna have you on camera saying I'm racist, and they're gonna cut your head off. Don't do it. These folks don't have good intents. I don't care how much they protest, how much they cry, how much they plead, how much they beg. They are working for Satan. There's a great episode of The Twilight Zone, and it's the episode of where this guy is traveling. I think he gets lost or weather's bad or whatever, and he comes across this hotel or a castle or whatever, and he begs the folks to let him stay. And there's a guy in a cell, and he's begging and pleading to get out. And so the guy goes to them and says, listen, this old man is in there. He's innocent. He didn't do anything. It's like, listen, do not open that door. Do not open that door and let that man out. Of course, this guy's a bleeding heart, white liberal, just disgusting. Don't believe in rules and order. Ain't got enough common sense to know if these folks in a castle somewhere way out in the middle of nowhere and this man's locked up, clearly he's a threat to humanity. So they're telling this guy, don't do it. Stop talking to him. The guy looks so pitiful. They won't feed me. I'm hungry. All this, just giving a story, just something a liberal would eat up. And make a long story short, that man opened that door up, and guess what happened? As soon as he opened that door up, he knew he did something wrong. He saw that old man walking, and that old man turned right into Satan. Then that guy saw him, and that guy said, what did you do? I'm telling y'all the same thing. Do not get on record saying that you are racist. I'm telling y'all this right now. Don't do it. I don't care if you just got done texting the N-word to somebody on your phone. Do not say you are racist. I'm telling you right now, they're going to use it against you, and they're going to string you up. Let's continue.
When asked who here is racist, we saw that clip, you raise your hand. And you talk about institutionalized racism and how you had to deconstruct yourself too. Yeah. Can you elaborate on that?
So when child of Indian immigrants, growing up, it was very clear to me from the time I was 5 that I'm aspiring to be white. aspiring to be American, but we didn't even see ourselves as the real Americans.
Yeah.
White people are real Americans. Aspiring to be white, and how do you do that? To get power, you have to step on the people below you.
Right.
And those people were Black people and myself, my own communities. So I'm deconstructing, I'm unlearning, I'm unpacking just like Lisa. So I'm on, and you know this, Lainey.
Yes.
Right. We are
We're
in the middle.
Karens too, right?
Yeah. we are Karens, yes. Like non-Black women of color can also be Karens.
Yes.
Absolutely. So I'm deconstructing my own inner Karen as well. I've been on the receiving end of racism from white people and on the giving end of racism towards Black people and each other. Asian communities hurt each other and ourselves as well.
Click the link in the bio to get the book.
Think about this. When you ask these people what was their experience, it's never racist. I asked one girl, I said, what happened? She said, well, white people asked to touch my hair. I said, well, your hair is a different texture. I said, your hair is pretty much one of the most unique hair textures in the world. Most folks in the world probably got straight hair. We think about China, India, some parts of Africa maybe, but most of the people in the world got straight hair. I said, so your hair texture is different than most of the world. So you think it's because you're Black and not that you're unique? Or what about, she said, you're experiencing microaggression? I said, what is a microaggression? What is it? I said, y'all just making stuff up. Because you don't experience racism, you gotta make something up because you never experience it. You never experience racism. So you have to construct something. It's crazy. I had to step on Black people. I guarantee, Indian lady, Miss Patel, there wasn't no Black folks in your path you had to step on. I guarantee your field, what you was ever in, it wasn't no Black folks in your path. You just saying that. If I sat down with her and asked her, tell me specifically who, Miss Patel, tell me who you had to step on that was Black. Give me a scenario, give me a situation. She couldn't do it. She couldn't do it. Anita mentioned that caste system exactly. Y'all have a caste system in India.
White supremacy enough for me. At a most foundational level, people don't understand it. They don't know what it means. And we pick and choose the parts of it that we dislike. And we point that out and we recognize it when it happens to us, but we don't recognize the parts that we like and we participate in. Right? And what does that look like for Black people and anti-Blackness? It's colorism, right? Having a preference.
Anti-Blackness, another made-up term. And notice, they don't call it anti-Blackness. They call it anti-Blackness. That is a psychological programming of your mind. Anti is a term of endearment. This is so that the term goes into your subconscious. Anti-Blackness, not anti-Blackness. There's a reason why they say anti-Blackness. So that it penetrates in your subconscious, because your auntie, your Annie, is a beloved figure. There is no such thing as anti-Blackness. The only folks that are anti-Black are Black people. Black folks run around bleaching their skin. Black folks run around wearing somebody's hair that ain't their hair. Black folks is altering their physical appearance the most. So if anybody's anti-Black, it's Black people. This whole anti-Blackness term is straight propaganda, straight Marxism. Angel Wing said it's Antifa Blackness. Right, Antifa.
preference for light-skinned people over dark-skinned people is texturism. Having a preference for certain kind of hair textures is fat phobia, like picking on people for being fat. It's anti-poverty, like clowning people for being poor as if they created that condition for themselves.
In what world does this man want to live in? In what world? Think about what he's saying. He is giving you a communist world. Nobody gets picked on. Nobody gets talked about. Nobody gets made fun of. There's no conflicts. Everybody's a robot. What world do black people want? They want hell on earth. They want communism. Yeah, I'll make fun of your milk dud head. Yes, I am. I'm going to make fun of your milk dud head. I'm going to make fun of your head. I'm going to make fun of your stomach. I'm going to make fun of everything. I'm going to make fun of all of it. That's what builds character. You want nobody to have no fun. That's how we grew up, making fun of each other. What are we talking about? We was all friends. Talking about your shoes, talking about your mama, your daddy, your house. We're talking about everything. It's part of being a kid.
Right? It is transphobic, it is homophobic, it is all of those things are bastards of white supremacy. And people don't understand it. On people for being fat. It's anti-poverty, like clowning people for being poor as if they created that condition for themselves, right? It is transphobic, it is homophobic, it is all of those things are bastards of white supremacy.
So imagine again, like I said before, every negative human characteristic or human trait is attributed to white people. What they've done is they've made white people not just gods, or God, but they've made white people the Messiah because white people have to bear the sins of the world. Everything that's bad that happens in the world, they blame white people for it. Every bad thing that happens in the world, they blame white people. White people have to bear the sins of the world. So not only have they made white people God, but they've also made white people the Savior, the Messiah, to where white people are tasked with taking on the world's sins. And now what? And now what? What do you think happens after the Messiah takes on all the sins of the world or white people? What's the next stage? The next stage is going to be crucifixion. Because see, if white people go, so is all this bad stuff. If white people go, so is all this bad stuff. We saw this same thing in the Matrix, where humanity thought the way to go was with these robots until it wasn't. All this stuff sounds good until it doesn't. Till you got to live it. And you got somebody like him telling you what to do every day.
And you don't recognize that because A, you don't read, but B, you decided for yourself that these things are not me. And so it's okay for me to cling to them as things that are preferences.
Visit Everyday is Juneteenth on Instagram and click the link in the bio to get the book.
I'm making fun of y'all. So I'm making fun of your milk dud head. I'm going to do it. I'm making fun of all of it. I'm making fun of you. I am. I'm going to make fun of you. I sure am.
Is a pyramid of white supremacy. I don't know if anybody's seen it. And at the very bottom of the pyramid is indifference. So if you are indifferent to other people's pain and suffering, then you're allowing all those other things to happen right up to genocide. So we try and say, okay, this may not be your priority, but why would you be indifferent?
Yeah.
Yeah, because really, in essence, you're saying that the indifference is a part of the racism.
It
when
is.
you look the other way.
That's right.
This woman said, we got a we have a white supremacy pyramid, and she says it like it's a real thing. like it's a food chart. Like she says it like it's a real thing. Oh yeah, this is the white supremacy pyramid. On the bottom is indifference. So in other words, if a white person is minding their business because they ain't got time, they got a family, they got children, they got bills, they got a life to live. If they don't take time out of their hectic life to worry about y'all, they racist. I rebuke it. I rebuke it. I rebuke it. Indifference. These people are sick.
Right?
You pretend like you don't see stuff.
Do you understand why this could be perceived as a threat when white women hear this? Because you can see them, whether they have on pearls or not, they're clutching something, right?
Yes.
When they're hearing
Yes.
this, or when you say, how many of you in here are racist?
How many, listen, dear black women, do y'all realize that y'all are the face of this new world order? The big black woman is, what is this, man? What's going on? Come on, y'all. Every time I turn something on, it's an obese or large black woman pushing this mess. Come on. Goodness. Nobody wants to say no. Not me. I don't want to do it. Come on, goodness. Goodness.
Whether they have on pearls or not, they're clutching something, right?
Yes.
When they're hearing
Yes.
this, or when you say, how many of you in here are racist?
You know what I know? I know that once you acknowledge something, then you are required to either make a change or make a decision. Either way, it's a decision to continue as things are. And I think a lot of people don't want to make that decision. It's easier to say, well, I don't know, than it is to say, yeah, I'm a racist and I need to do some work.
Imagine these people creating a pyramid and it lists every human characteristic on it. So no matter what you do, you're automatically racist because the pyramid says it. Think about, you got a pyramid and it lists all the human traits on it. If you exhibit one of these behaviors, you're racist. They done made a white supremacy pyramid. The first thing is indifference. The last one on the foundational floor is indifference. White people, like most people, are going to be concerned with their family. White folks don't have the luxury to worry about black people. White people, by and large, don't have the luxury to worry about black people. What are black people doing that should have white folks worried anyway? What are black people doing that should have white people worried anyway? What are they doing? If I was a white person, think about what I would see. Every time I heard black people talking, they would be talking about me. Like, think about just being white for a second. Every time you cut on a TV or social media, it is somebody black or somebody's black talking about white people. I would think to myself, these people are obsessed with white. What's going on? Like, it's crazy. What are black people doing that has white people so concerned with them? I just don't know what it is. Nobody can ever articulate that to me. What are black people doing?
Visit everydayisjune.
For some time, I've been around black folk all my life, and I'm telling you that they are devoid of wisdom and understanding. They're good at sex and sports, but after that, they don't have understanding about the world.
Idris Singleton. Hey, everyone. Thanks, Blanche and everyone. Thank you, Mr. Singleton. I really appreciate it. Vintage Goods Willie. It's got so bad, even the Russians now have a black Jesus. I know, I saw that. Boy, I done seen so many videos today of Putin with the black Jesus. I said, oh my goodness, why Putin? Putin, why did you do that, Putin? I got to hear these. Putin think he's slick though. Anyway, I agree with, there will not be an election and something. Let me get off the screen. I agree there will not be an election and something is going to happen that will shake the world. Even if Trump is elected, something coming afterwards. I agree with that. Thank you, Mr. Singleton. Jahan, thank you so much for the super sticker. I ain't seen you in a minute. Thank you so much, sir. Corey, the Supreme, thank you so much, Corey. I appreciate it. Cruise Missile, thank you so much. Always supporting. I really appreciate it. Miss Reed, thank you so much. Thank you, Blanche, for always speaking and bringing the truth, allowing the Heavenly Father to work through you. Thank you so much. Ms. Reed, I really appreciate it. Yeah, Putin said they got black Jesus over there in Russia. Listen, you all, now is the time for us to really have a relationship with Christ. Now is the time for us to be praying, to be fasting, to be meditating in the word, to be still, to ask God to reveal the truth to us and be sincere, all these things. It's the time now. We know this is an election year. This is going to be a big year. I feel like they're going to put all the stops out this year. We're going to have discernment, wisdom, and understanding. We're going to have to be prayed up. We're going to have to be steadfast. We're going to have to be like a tree planted by the waters, the still waters. We shall not be moved. All that good stuff we grew up on, we're going to have to be today, because all that good stuff we grew up on is for a time such as today. But listen, you all, I love you all, and I thank you all for tuning in today. I thank you all for blessing me. I'm glad I came on live tonight. My boy was bothered today about his car insurance going up, but he said he's not paying Klaus Schwab, so he said he ain't paying for that car insurance. I understand. I can't be mad at him, but their goal is to squeeze us out. Just raise up all the prices of everything. No justification. I read some articles today where we're saying the reason why your car insurance and house insurance is going up is because of climate change. So if that's the case, it's over. Like, they can just say climate change, we're done. It's just, But anyway, I love you all. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, Angel Wings, for moderating. Thank you, Goddess Navi, for moderating. Thank y'all so much. I love y'all. Thank you all for the badges on Instagram. I will see you all tomorrow on Cutting Through the Culture. I want you to have a blessed night. Thank you.